Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
Welcome, everyone. It's Joan Hamburg, and my guest, Sam Sifton, is someone I always admire. I always look to read him. He makes me hungry. He makes me happy. Whenever I read anything he writes, I feel like I have to cook it or eat it, and that's a great gift. And Sam has worn many hats over the years for the New York Times, and still... Do you still love to cook?
Oh, yes. I love cooking. It's one of the great reprieves from the stresses of modern life to be able to, just head into the kitchen, blinders on, and make something delicious for people I love. It's the opposite of, what I'm doing all day with my brain and writing and interviewing people and talking and managing and all that stressful stuff that is also fun, but you want to break from it, and I find that break in the kitchen, and I love problem solving in the kitchen. I love producing the food, and I love most of all serving it.
And do you have an eating family? They love to eat.
Yeah.
They'll experiment.
Absolutely, it's been that way since since the kids were very small. I worked, as you know, as the restaurant critic for the New York Times for a number of years when my children were small, and I would take them. They understood that variety in eating was going to be was certainly a big part of my life, and was therefore a big part of theirs. And I think they thrill to that still as they're young adults. They're very adventurous eaters.
Restaurant reviewing and talking about, to me, that always seems so hard because you had to wear, speaking of wearing many hats, and I don't know how you did that. One of my favorite stories, Arthur Schwartz, you remember Arthur, the food maven?
Of course.
And Arthur would say, "Don't tell anyone I'm here." I say, "Of course I'm not going to tell." "Don't tell anyone." And I walk into a restaurant, and there was Arthur sitting at the bar, and I hear him saying to the bartender, "I'm Arthur Schwartz." And I got such a kick out of that, in case the guy didn't know. So
that's hilarious. At the Times, we're pretty hardcore about trying to remain anonymous as restaurant critics, and I that's pretty tough for someone like me who likes to talk to people and who asks lots of questions, and who is now I've got a fake name and a fake credit card, and I'm pretending that I'm someone I'm not in order to enjoy this meal, and yet I'm asking all these questions that only someone who really, really, really cares about food would ask. And, am I getting made? Am I not? I'll tell you, it is a hard job. It's a lovely job. But it's a much better thing to be the former restaurant critic than the restaurant critic. You get to dine in the restaurant and really kind of be yourself, which I like.
Well, that's good. But and then in the early days, when a lot of critics would bring a whole bunch of people with them to eat all that food and taste it, I would always wonder how a waiter or the guy in the kitchen would not know. He would have to, or she would have to know, with the whole crowd ordering everything on the menu.
Well, I don't know, Joan. I used the crowd to hide myself pretty effectively a lot. My favorite guests were always people with big personalities who would draw the attention of the staff, draw the attention of the maitre d's or the captains or the waiters or indeed the chef. If you want to dine anonymously in a New York City restaurant, go with a criminal defense attorney. because that person is going to draw attention, and then you can kind of gauge the meal in relative anonymity.
Do you find that things, Sam, have changed over the years in terms of the way people look at food, view food, what we eat?
Oh, absolutely. I've seen the change. I mean, I guess I'm getting to be an old man, but
not you.
I remember when. No, it's really been interesting to see the attention to food, the interest in food has changed dramatically in the whatever it's been 30 years I've been doing this. Where in the old days, there were probably 400 restaurants that mattered to the elites of New York 30 years ago, and they were largely European restaurants, largely French, and then later Italian restaurants. Now, the sheer diversity of cuisine that is on tap for us in New York City with our, whatever it is, 20,000 restaurants.
Right.
The interest of the critic goes way, way beyond stalwart restaurants of Upper Manhattan, and it spans the 5 boroughs, and people just are literally famished for all kinds of different foods, and they like to talk about it. They like to take pictures of it. They like to put it on Instagram, and that kind of culinary literacy was not really around decades ago.
I'm sure. And we love to follow our restaurant critics. And how do you decide when it comes to food or a recipe or something you're going to cook, what that's going to be? Do you make lists of things you want to try, or what?
Well, I don't eat out as much as I used to, and the pandemic, of course, brought many, many more people into the kitchen than were in there before the pandemic. They were forced to cook and learn to become better cooks. And so the list of restaurants I used to keep, restaurants I want to try, became instead recipes or sometimes just ingredients that I wanted to mess around with or experiment with. And that would lead me down various rabbit holes on the internet or with social media or indeed with cookbooks in the physical form. And then I'd have lists of recipes I wanted to try. And that's how I'm doing it today. Is there something I ate in a restaurant that I'd like to recreate at home? Is there a condiment I want to mess around with and see if I can develop a recipe for? Is there something I found in an old cookbook? And the old saw has it, there are only like 11 recipes in the whole world, and everything else is just adding stuff onto it. But even if that's the case, I still, every day, I'm fascinated by one idea or another, and I want to just give it a try.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, here we go.
New Phineas and Ferb is here.
We're back, baby.
For 104 more days
I know what we're going to do today.
of summer vacation.
I am ready for summer shenanigans. Let's do it. Oh, yeah.
All right. We're going to bust Phineas and Ferb once and for all.
Are we going to do this again?
New inventions, shenanigans, innators, adventures, and songs.
Brand new summer vacation.
New Phineas and Ferb starts June 5th on Disney Channel and next day on Disney Plus on DisneyPlus.Disney.com.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistant's assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Hey, Fidelity. What's it cost to invest with the Fidelity app?
Start with as little as $1 with no account fees or trade commissions on U.S. stocks and ETFs.
That's music to my ears.
I can only talk.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Sell order assessment fee not included. A limited number of ETFs are subject to a transaction-based service fee of $100. See full list at fidelity.com/commissions. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Do you find that restaurant food, too, has changed a lot? We know in terms of diversity and think people want to eat everything, or many people. But has that changed, too?
I think so. I mean, we have, again, diversity plays a role. You know, we can be eating Malaysian food on Monday and Alsatian food on Tuesday, and then want to get some Russian food on Wednesday and Sichuan food on Thursday. And that's really cool and exciting. There's a broader palette for us to paint with. Mangling this metaphor, but there's tons of stuff that's out there. I'll tell you what about restaurant food, though, that I learned coming out of the pandemic. Holy cow, these portions can be gigantic.
We've all commented on that. Huge.
It's just unbelievable. I think I spent a lot of time cooking, 7 days a week, and developing a kind of Sifton cuisine or whatever that we were eating and loving and enjoying. And then I think my first meal after all the lockdowns was at a steakhouse, was at Keen's, which I love, and I got the mutton chop, and this thing was the size of an airplane. I think I fed off that thing for 3 days.
Was it delicious?
It was so delicious as to words almost failed me how thrilled I was to be eating food prepared by someone else that was just awesome. And this is no knock on Keen's, because it's true of all the restaurants. That good feeling lasted until the bill arrived, and I realized, holy cow, restaurant food's expensive.
No, and it's become more expensive, but I'm always amazed at not only how many people eat out, but how many young people eat out. And right, no matter how expensive the restaurant is, I always comment on, look who's at the bar. Look at all these people. They're young, and they're spending big bucks.
No one goes into the newspaper game expecting to make a good living.
To be rich, right.
It is pretty amazing to walk into, the restaurant of the moment and see the entire place filled up with beautiful, glittering young people spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on food. And you think, gosh, what life choices have they made?
Well, I know, and I always think I'm doing something wrong.
Right. Or put another way, what life choices have I made?
That's exactly right. How many of us have to share the dinner to make it possible? So, something we never used to do. But do you have it in your head what you want to eat for the day or anything like that, or it's chance as chance can?
I think I spend more time than your average bear thinking about what the next meal is going to be, and I'm not above discussing at any particular meal what the next meal is going to be. In the middle of lunch, what are we going to do about dinner? In the middle of dinner, what am I going to do about breakfast tomorrow? So I can have a kind of fixed idea in my head. I can wake up thinking, oh my goodness, I've got to have X or Y, or I can just ponder it on the subway on the way to the newsroom, and then daydream in meetings about maybe I'll go get a sandwich or miso soup at lunch. It's great to I don't know. It's a great daydream for me. But when it comes on strong and I know I have to have X or Y, it's kind of magical. The human brain is just incredible. This summer, it just entered into my head. I don't think I had a Coke float, like a variation on the root beer float. So root beer float is too sweet for me. I think root beer is too sweet. Coke is perfect. Coke, vanilla ice cream, wax paper cup, long plastic spoon, and a straw. And I don't think I've had that in 20 years, and it popped into my head, and I had to have it.
How was it?
Had to. It was unbelievably good. There is something about the carbonation of the Coke and the softening of the ice cream that creates a kind of like a drinkable foam at the bottom at a certain point during the consumption of the Coke float. And I mean, I was like, this is the greatest decision I've made in 2023 to consume this thing. I did not feel that way 45 minutes later, but in the moment,
it was there.
So fantastic.
It was there. But look, I mean, you have that ability to make us feel that way, and that's like a gift. I had marked your fried chicken biscuits with hot honey butter. They weren't yours. I forget who they were. Tejo, right.
When she first she had been developing that recipe. It's essentially a fried chicken sandwich, right?
Oh, it sounds so good.
On a biscuit with this hot honey butter. And she brought a couple of them into the newsroom. And I ate one, and I thought it just it transported me to like a summer field. Suddenly I was sitting on a checked blanket. It was just amazing. And I've made them since. They travel really well. They taste fantastic. And that's one of Tejal's great recipes. And it's on New York Times Cooking for all to read and make.
Right. All the good. You even made me want to make turkey on a roll, but I have a thing about turkey. I don't like deli turkey. You know, I like real turkey. But you did a deli on a roll with Swiss cheese coleslaw, and you fixed up the Russian dressing. Because if I make Russian dressing, I do the ketchup, but I never think of sour cream and hot sauce, which is what you added to it.
Yeah, I add a little of that to lighten it up a bit.
Oh, good.
And to, get all the benefits of the ketchup with none of the downside. And I'm 100% with you, by the way, on deli turkey. It's not the same as real turkey. And we have a recipe on New York Times Cooking for it amounts to like a sous vide turkey breast. It's from the chefs at the old Teresi Italian Specialties. It's the same turkey that they serve at their restaurant Parm for their turkey sandwiches.
Oh, yeah.
And it results in this incredibly moist and flavorful breast meat that makes for just a bonkers sandwich, especially with coleslaw and Russian and Swiss. So good. On a bulky roll.
Yeah, it sounds delicious. Does your family have a favorite? Like, it could be, what do you guys want? Anything you want, I'll try to make or get.
Again, I think, the acorns didn't fall far from the tree.
They're like you.
They're like me. They'll say, hey, I have an idea. So most recently, this wasn't even for me to cook. Most recently, my younger child said, let's go to Roll & Roaster. And we piled in the car and went to that great Sheepshead Bay institution where you get a roast beef sandwich dipped in gravy and served on a
I used to
roll.
love that.
Oh, my goodness.
I know. And not easy to find. I mean, I love that roast beef sandwich you just described, but you can't get it everywhere.
You got to go to Sheepshead Bay. There are a couple places in Sheepshead Bay where you can get it. Brennan Carr has the sort of not upscale version, but the grown-up version.
Yeah.
And Roll & Roaster is more the like high school kid version. And they're both from Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. They're both excellent roast beef sandwiches. And you're right. Outside of those two, I can't think of too many other places
where you can get it.
Find one.
Well, as soon as the weather changes a little bit, will be back to Sam Sifton turkey, which no matter how many times I make turkey, cook turkey, think about turkey, because when I grew up, every Friday my mom would make a turkey, just like a snack. And she was obsessed with feeding this family. And boy, she overfed for years. But turkey was an extra little goodie on Friday. And it would always
great. I wish I'd grown up in your home.
You would have liked it. They ate a lot. And to this day, I love turkey. You know, where people will say, oh, turkey's so boring. To me, a fresh-made turkey breast, if it's seasoned right, is delicious. But then so many other things we love.
That's true. But, you know, people say that the turkey is boring, but they order turkey. Turkey as a deli meat is, I think, near the top of the list of meats Americans order. So I think it's just crazy. And I also think, you know, that it'd be great if more people were like your mom and cooked turkey more often. You know, this notion that we cook turkey only at Thanksgiving or maybe at Christmas if you're of British descent. But bringing turkey into your regular cooking rotation, like roasting off a couple turkey thighs for a meal, is so fantastic. Braising some turkey legs, so good.
Right.
Not all EVs are created equal. The Ioniq 9 sets a new standard. Hyundai's first all-electric EV with 3 rows. Space in an EV, finally. Plus, with over 300 miles of range, ultra-fast charging capability, and tech infused with safety features, this isn't just space. It's freedom reimagined. More room, more possibilities. Learn more about the Ioniq 9 at HyundaiUSA.com. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. I hope you're ready for the most dippable chicken in McDonald's history. Dip it in all the sauces. Dip it in that hot sauce in your bag. Dip it in your McFlurry. Your dip is your business. McCrispy strips at McDonald's.
This episode is brought to you by PetSmart. Stop by for Yappy Hour with your pet at PetSmart. Save $5 on walk-in grooming services like nail trims, ear cleaning, brushing, and more. No appointment needed every weekday from 2 to 6 p.m. And while you're there, Yappy Hour includes exclusive in-store deals, like 25% off pet toys. Visit services.petsmart.com/grooming to learn more.
And we always had delicious lunches. My lunches were the envy because it was fresh turkey. And I'll tell you what else, which I'd wake up as a kid and the smell of hamburger would be drifting through the house. And my mom would make, in a big iron pan, incredibly juicy, delicious hamburgers, and then smush them on white bread so that all the juices saturated the bread. And that was school lunch. And people would gather around my lunch bag. What did Thelma make you for lunch today? You know, sort of fantastic. Drooling over that. And to this day, I dream of that. I very rarely make it, but it was such a good childhood, delicious food. I loved it. Are your kids great eaters?
Yeah, they're trenchermen. They do well at the table, which is really exciting. And you know, they've been off at college, so when they come home, you know, college today, they spend a lot of time not eating meat, not eating
exactly.
gluten. But then they come home and I say,
they
what do you want? What do you want? And they're like, we do steak tacos? And we make a feast.
No, I know. And I would sometimes say to my kids, but when they'd say, why don't we have that? And I'd say, but you don't like that. And my son would say, it doesn't matter. I want it. We had it as kids growing up. I'd love to have that. It's all the persistence of memory.
Yep, that's exactly right. Eat memory. It's absolutely true. We're always trying to capture the flavors of the past.
Isn't that something I know? And it makes it special. Pancakes. My mom didn't make them from scratch. She used Aunt Jemima, the box.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't remember anything more delicious as a breakfast.
I keep a sourdough starter. I'm not religious about it, but it's always there in the fridge and I can bring it back to life. And one of the things that I do for pancakes is maybe on a Friday night after dinner, I'll take a cup of the starter and combine it with a cup of regular flour and maybe put a little sprinkle of sugar on that and mix it around and then let it sit overnight. And it creates a kind of sponge that I can use as the base for either waffles or pancakes. And the flavor that is delivered by that sourdough starter that I barely take care of is
so good.
Intense. I mean, it's just great. You think like, wow, feels almost healthy eating it.
My gosh. Well, now you're making me hungry again. The one and only Sam Sifton. He'll tell you what he's going to have for dinner on Sunday or whenever. And more important, how to make it. You made me want to make shrimp and grits.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Well, that recipe's on New York Times Cooking, too.
Right. It's all there. Thank you, Sam. We'll talk to you soon. It's almost Thanksgiving.
Well, I look forward to that, Joan, our Thanksgiving tradition.
I know. Take care of yourself. Regards, and we'll talk soon.
Great. Thank you. Bye.
My pleasure. I'm Joan Hamburg, Sam Sifton from the New York Times, and of course, you're always part of it. Stay tuned. You're listening to WABC, and there's lots more to come.